I don't like this tunnel.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. Too much water thaws it, and boom.
You know, it's probably a horrible idea to go in there because, you know, I trust Jim, but time's running out. I have to go in.
You gotta go in?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's against my recommendation.
Yeah, okay.
I knew they'd go in. I'm not going in there.
You can't just expect to sit in a lab and hope to clone a mammoth. I think there has to be some dangerous and dirty work that has to be done.
Okay, no problem.
This is all bones sticking out of the walls. No, this is really a good place to find some samples.
Please come out! Please come out! Okay, my sample. My sample. Go. Okay.
The quest to clone a living, breathing mammoth is one of the most expensive, ambitious, and audacious scientific undertakings ever. It starts here, in the heart of Siberia. Mammoths used to roam here in their hundreds of thousands, making Batagaika crater one of the biggest mammoth graveyards on the planet.
Oh, wow.
It's huge.
This is much bigger than I thought it would be. No, it's like Grand Canyon of Russia.
The Russians are collaborating with an international team of scientists to do something that was previously unthinkable: excavate deep frozen mammoth tissue and export it to South Korea, home to one of the world's most successful cloning laboratories. Their ultimate goal is to find viable mammoth DNA to start the cloning process.
I'm looking for pretty much anything that has not been defrosted. Preferably, I would like it to be skin, but research has told us that brain samples are very good. Bone marrow is also good. All I need is one cell to clone the mammoth.
If Vincent gets this to work, it's one of the biggest scientific achievements in this century. We would have brought back an extinct species to life.
As global temperatures rise, the Siberian permafrost is melting, exposing mammoth carcasses tens of thousands of years old.
It's goddamn cold. My role is to help the rest of the team get safely into the permafrost to say whether the mammoth remains are preserved or not and whether we can access them safely.
Failure is not an option. It's taken months to negotiate access to sites deep inside Siberia, and the project will cost millions of dollars. But the team faces a colossal challenge. They have just 3 weeks to find the viable DNA inside just one cell that could change science forever. From the new vantage point, Jim identifies a good spot to begin the search.
10 to 15 meters from the bottom, there's a band of sort of hairy-looking stuff sticking out from the side. That band is probably 40,000 years old. If I can get down and into that, that's my main area of interest. Because if we're going to find an intact mammoth, it's going to be right there.
The only way for Jim to reach the strata which might contain ancient mammoth is to abseil down the ice cliff.
So right now Lev is walking around the outside of this cliff, and he's going to find the proper spot on the top for us to set up the anchor for this, the belay, so we can abseil down. And if he's in the wrong spot by here, probably only 5 or 10 meters, he's either going to lower me off a huge, unstable, collapsing overhang, or I'm going to be in another spot where there's trees toppling in. So it's really important that we get him at precisely the right point. Keep going, and I would stop right about there. You can come up to the edge of the face now.
Insung and the Russian scientists take the easier route down to the crater bottom. As Jim drills out samples of mammoth, he'll lower them down to go immediately into a portable deep freeze. Previous attempts to clone a mammoth have failed, but unique access gives this team the biggest chance of success so far.
One thing that no one has really done before is to actually take a sample that is frozen from the ground and keep it frozen all the way to the lab. I'm quite excited about trying this to see whether this will allow us to recover much larger pieces of DNA than anyone has ever done before.
So that's all the slings, this is all the carabiners. Crampons. Well, this is a totally brand new piece of equipment. It's never even been turned on. Our generator is slightly too small to run this drill, and a number of my brand new bits that were custom made for this job have also disappeared. So, we're gonna try and make this work, but it's gonna be ugly. Problem is, we're not getting any power from the generator to the drill. It's ridiculous that we've come all this way and we're relying on a adapter. Yeah, cheap airport adapter. Right now we've got hot midday sun shining on that permafrost face. You can hear the booming and crashing in the background of big pieces of ice falling off. And the longer we wait, the worse it gets.
The team is in a race against time. As Batagaika's ice cliffs melt and collapse, the chances of finding clonable mammoth tissue are lost forever.
Good? Yeah. All right, so I'm being lowered over the edge of about a 200-foot collapsing permafrost cliff. And hopefully halfway down there we can find something that is a piece of a mammoth. Let me down. Okay. Lower, lower, slow, slow.
There's no way you can come back up?
No, there's too much overhang for me to get back up with the ascenders. So I guess we're committed now.
I'm very worried. About 20 meters to his right, there's pieces falling right now, and he's on that little overhang. I don't know if that's gonna hold for him.
Everybody could stay off the cliff, that would be much appreciated. This is much more unstable than I thought it was. I'm underneath a significant overhang here.
Okay, copy that.
As I'm speaking right now, there's bits and pieces falling from everywhere. It's a pretty dangerous situation for them right now.
Sample recovery goes out of the window. The only goal now is to get Jim down without a 2-ton chunk of permafrost crashing down on him. He spots an outcrop he can't resist investigating. He hacks at the crumbling face to see what lies beneath.
But he's doing now rather dangerous things.
Maybe he saw something there. That's why he keeps on digging.
But Jim hasn't come this far to give up now. He's determined to take a temperature reading to check if the outcrop is cold enough to contain deep frozen mammoth remains.
Right at zero!
Too warm? It's not great. He's saying that the ice inside is still right at 0 degrees Celsius. Definitely, that's not the permafrost that I'm looking for.
Insung needs mammoth tissue that hasn't defrosted for at least 10,000 years. Uncontrolled thawing makes ice crystals slice and dice the fragile structure of the cell.
And that was one of the scariest experiences of my life. There are huge pieces falling off the whole way along. It's extremely dangerous up there right now.
Batagaika is just too warm. It's a serious setback. Insung needs somewhere colder. The only hope now is to head further north, further inside the Arctic Circle, where winter temperatures can drop to 50 below.
A lot of people are relying on me to get the best samples possible, so there's definitely a lot of pressure on me.
He has only 12 days left to find the perfect mammoth cell. Suddenly, someone spots something in the mud.
This is a big bone. Yeah, it looks like mammoth. Wow, this is huge. What part of the body is this from?
I think it's humerus.
Humor.
Ah,
Okay.
big bone from front leg. I think it's quite fresh.
It's a massive mammoth leg bone. If the marrow inside is still frozen, it could hold the answer to Insung's prayers. The single cell with viable DNA he needs to clone a mammoth.
That is very nice. This is very large. Yes, very fresh.
Everything now depends on what's inside the bone.
It's very decayed. It's all rotten. It's all very hard.
It's a bitter blow for cloning scientist Insung Hwang.
Very decayed matter. So.
Insung, he needs to find an extremely well-preserved sample. He needs to find something that has never been found before, because he needs the DNA to be more or less completely intact.
With just 10 expedition days left, Insung is forced to rethink his strategy.
Batagaika, it's just really disappointing that I couldn't get any samples there. I was, expecting to find at least something there, something that I could take to Korea, but it's not there.
This is Yucca, a 40,000-year-old juvenile mammoth, one of several to emerge from Siberian permafrost in recent years.
It's my first time seeing a mammoth, especially something that's not inside the display window at a museum. So it's truly amazing.
This is really cool. This is the coolest thing I've seen.
From the way it looks right now, it would be impossible to get viable cells from this particular sample.
A previous team of scientists tried and failed to find viable DNA in Yucca. Uncontrolled thawing and refreezing following her find may have caused Yucca's cells to explode, destroying the DNA.
DNA, which is inside the nucleus, is very fragile. In order to have any chance of finding intact cells with intact DNA in it, you need to get the sample directly out of the permafrost. And that's what makes this expedition unique.
The new permafrost Insung has in his sights lies 640 kilometers further inside the Arctic Circle. It's a site legendary among mammoth hunters.
We are going to a place called Muskaya. We will have to travel through the Yana River for about 2 days to get there. It's going to be my last hope to get any kind of frozen mammoth remains.
Winter is coming in fast. Pretty soon the temperature is going to start dropping by about 10 degrees a week, so we're under considerable time pressure.
In winter, temperatures here can drop to 50 degrees below. The team needs to get in and out before the Yana River freezes over. But it's the shallow waters that deliver the team's next setback.
Well, we hit the last rock that this propeller could take. It's not good. It's like a cat. We started with 9 lives and we're taking them off one by one. He's just put on a spare there. It's the last spare. If we lose one more propeller, we're paddling to Muskaya.
Bad weather and mechanical breakdowns turn the 2-day river trip into 4, costing Insung precious time at his last chance location.
Today, everyone just got completely soaked in rain. It's been a very difficult travel.
Everybody's getting tired, and the cold is really drawing their energy down.
Every single second is really precious right now.
By the time they finally reach their new base camp, the team has just 6 days mammoth hunting left. But as soon as they step ashore, they get their first taste of the treasures Mushaya holds in store.
This is a mammoth molar that the local guys found here on the beach. It turns out that Kasachi is actually built on ice complex permafrost. So the town is built on layers and layers of dead mammoth. So it's a very good sign for the expedition.
I'm really excited. It's been a very difficult journey, but it's going to be worth it tomorrow.
After a freezing cold night and a breakfast of porridge and dry bread, the team makes the 2-hour trip to Mushaya, their last chance to find what they need. There is no other place like this on Earth. A massive mountain of frozen mud, Mushaya is considered to be the world's biggest mammoth graveyard.
I have never seen anything like it. Hundreds of mammoths within a couple of 100 square meters. Aha! That is beautiful. It's just littered with bones. It's amazing, really.
Bones are a morale boost, but they're not the answer. To find viable DNA, deep frozen for at least 10,000 years, they must venture up to 100 meters into the icy heart of the mountain.
At Muskaya, we have a number of tunnels that have been cut into a permafrost cliff by mammoth tusk hunters using high-pressure jets of water. Right now, I am about to go into the entrance of this tunnel and just do initial reconnaissance and just check and see if it's safe for other people to go in. It's scary in there. The roof's collapsing, there's water on the floor, way too warm. You can hear stuff falling off the roof. This is an extremely dangerous place to be.
Jim finally finds one tunnel he's happy with. Even then, he has to demolish a dangerous mud overhang that could bury the team in an icy tomb.
We have a really limited window of opportunity to get in here and find what we need to find.
As the temperature rises, the tunnel could start to collapse, so it's critical the team gets in and out as fast as possible.
People have been telling me really good stories about how they were able to find a lot of mammoth flesh in the tunnel, so I'm just hoping that it will deliver. It's been about 5 minutes in the tunnel, and I only took about 5 steps.
You're stuck.
This is going to be really difficult.
We're just gonna have to dig.
Oh my God.
I don't know if this is the ideal spot for samples.
The temperature is clearly too warm to find frozen samples, so Jim ventures deeper inside.
It's just wood back here. I don't see any bones.
Are you sure this is stable?
Actually, no, it isn't.
No, let's get out of here.
It's not stable? No?
I don't know. I can get out. Yeah, it's falling in on me here.
Let's get out of here.
Not really a good tunnel for finding any kind of mammoth samples. You know, we were just getting stuck in the mud every step. There's no other option now. We have to find a fresh frozen tunnel.
The team must leave in 5 days before the first blizzards arrive. But the next day, there's another setback.
Our boat had an anchor go through it yesterday, and things have been generally going slower than they need to be. And everything that can screw up has screwed up. So I think today we've just given up.
While the boat undergoes repairs, expedition guide and mammoth hunter Igor takes the team to his cabin to show them his ancient treasure trove.
Igor, is this what I think it is? Mammoth?
Mammoth.
This is mammoth hair. Muskaya.
Yes.
That's a very good sign.
How long did it take for you to find all these tusks?
За лето?
And all at Muskoya?
Нет. С разных мест.
Different places, okay. Oh, it's impressive. Yeah, these are beautiful. These ones are incredibly nice tusks.
But what Igor has stored in his permafrost basement is even more astonishing.
Oh, holy hell. You go.
What part is this?
Pelvis. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of tissue.
Soil tissue.
It's very dry.
Yeah, it's super dry.
To cloning scientist In Sung Hwang, it's evidence that preserved, deep frozen mammoth tissue can be found at Moose Haya.
I mean, it's in a really good condition for a sample like this, but in terms of, you know, viable cells, it's in a pretty bad condition.
It's meat. That's mammoth jerky.
When the team finally makes it back to Moose Haya, bad news is waiting. The tunnels have got even more dangerous.
There's been some heavy rain, and the temperature has warmed up considerably, and we're getting a lot of collapse all the way along. There's some car-sized blocks of ice that have been falling off of these cliffs. You can see some of the cave entrances in the background are just about completely blocked now, and I really don't want to take the chance that somebody will be trapped inside one of these caves.
In Sung has yet to find a single usable sample of mammoth. And to add to his worries, his boss and a team of Korean scientists have traveled 4,000 kilometers to join the mammoth hunt.
Everybody's, you know, relying on me to deliver. Really, failure is not an option for me.
The pressure is on to find a good tunnel. Suddenly, there's a breakthrough. In Sung's Russian colleagues have found a tunnel with mammoth bones sticking out of the walls. But Jim isn't happy.
The tunnel is full of water and mud, and the roof is collapsing. So I really don't want to go in there. It's not safe. I don't like this tunnel. Not safe, not safe. Too much water, water thaws it, and boom, falls down.
You are specialist for permafrost?
Yes,
Yeah?
yes. Too warm, too warm, yeah. A big section of the roof has already collapsed, and there's a big, weak earth layer that's right maybe a foot or two above the roof. That is super dangerous.
I'm in a real quandary right now because my Russian colleagues are saying they actually want to go into the tunnel. You know, it's probably a horrible idea to go in there because, you know, I trust Jim, but I have to reach a decision pretty soon because, you know, time's running out.
In-sung faces a stark choice. He can turn down what might be the final chance to find the DNA he needs and go home empty-handed, or go in and risk being buried in a catastrophic collapse.
I have to go in.
You gotta go in? Okay, well, it's against my recommendation. I've been in every one of these tunnels I could get into, and that's the only one where the roof has already collapsed.
Okay.
So it's against my recommendation.
Okay. Yeah, okay. You can't just expect to sit in a lab and hope to clone a mammoth. I think there has to be some dangerous and dirty work that has to be done. Yeah, dig and look for me if I don't come back in.
I knew they'd go in. I'm not going in there.
Are you okay, Yusung? Yeah. Oh.
Iffy on this surface. Everything's pretty much frozen.
This is all bones sticking out of the walls. No, this is really a good place to find some samples. This is just a, beautiful piece of mammoth.
Okay, Igor, good job.
Part of skull, mammoth skull.
Okay. Good. Okay, thank you.
Suddenly, the tunnel entrance starts to collapse.
Oh, please come out!
Yes.
가는데요. 가는데요.
왜?
지금 why we have to return? 그 입구가 무너지고 있대요.
그래?
Oh, please come out! Please come out!
My sample.
Go, 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 go.
Okay. Okay.
We were actually able to find a lot of samples inside. We didn't have enough test tubes for all the samples, so this is pretty much ice blocks with fat tissue, hair. Everything's pretty well preserved. It's all very frozen. Our team is going to take the samples to the freezer and work on the sample as quickly as possible.
In-sung has had a lucky escape.
I can't see the entrance that I just went into. That was very close. It was really close. I didn't realize what kind of dire situation I was in, but I come back 5 minutes later, the whole entrance has collapsed. Can't believe it.
I warned numerous times against this. It happened. We were really lucky nobody got killed. And I am very angry.
The team hauled a state-of-the-art mobile lab weighing 100 kilos here so that they could analyze samples on the spot. It's the moment of truth. If they find signs of DNA, it might indicate a viable cell. If no DNA survives, the team will have risked their lives for nothing.
You can see little spots of blue on the screen, and that means there's a possibility of DNA being there. Of course, in order to check we have to take the sample back to our lab in Korea. But hopefully when we do more analysis on it, it will give us better results. But for now, I'm happy, yeah.
And some of the samples look extremely well preserved. So I'm very hopeful.
Thank you so much for your help.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the samples.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Insung's worries are far from over. His precious mammoth samples must stay deep frozen for an epic 4,000-kilometer journey. 2 boats across Siberia. 2 flights, one by twin prop planes south and another by jet airliner. A series of Russian customs checks and a further international flight to Seoul.
I'm really nervous and excited at the same time because I haven't seen those samples in about 8 weeks now. Do you have any problems with this? No? Okay.
But have the samples stayed frozen? This is the first time the Russians have ever allowed this much mammoth out of the country. If the samples haven't survived the journey, then a year of work and around $1 million will have been wasted. The entire project rests on what In-sung finds inside the freezer.
Bone marrow? Different bone. This cold. I think this is fat tissue.
So much frozen inside the tube right now, so we have to really process this quickly. The samples are all frozen, so it's a big relief.
In-sung has an impressive 20 kilos of mammoth to work with. But does it contain the perfectly preserved DNA that could spark the miracle of life? To find out, the team must defrost the samples at a controlled rate to minimize damage.
It's all intuition at this point, so whatever the researchers like the best, they are going to work on it right away.
Work begins on a chunk of mammoth tissue. What they find inside could prove to be the answer to In-sung's prayers.
So this is really one of our favorite samples just by looking at from the naked eye, because you know, it has red meat inside, so it looks really good.
So inside, it seems like the muscle tissues. It's so fresh.
With tissue this fresh, the goal of creating a living, breathing mammoth has come one giant step closer. But will it contain the viable DNA that In-sung needs?
So after the researchers washed all the samples and made sure that they were cut into small pieces using surgical scissors, they used something called trypsin. Trypsin pretty much helps the cells to isolate.
The tissue is dissolved in proteins, incubated, filtered, and spun in a centrifuge to extract the cells.
It's really exciting to see all this work actually happening. You know, we almost risked our lives to get the samples in Siberia, so these are really precious samples. So this is the last step. Collagen is supposed to help the cells grow on the petri dish. All I can do right now is just put it inside an incubator and hope magic happens.
It will be 10 days before In-sung gets any results.
It's just a waiting game for us now. The principle of cloning involves a somatic cell and an oocyte with nucleus in it. The elephant's nucleus from the oocyte will be extracted out, and these two will be fused together to create a cloned embryo. And once they are joined, they will start to divide. And then they will multiply into many, many cells to form a blastocyst. This blastocyst will be implanted into an elephant, and that's how you give birth to a mammoth.
If In-sung succeeds in finding viable DNA to bring the mammoth back to life, he will need the help of its closest living relative. Asian elephants, like these ones in Borneo, hold the key to making In-sung's dream come true.
It makes me very excited. You know, in the lab, I'm working with cells, small things, but this is an actual gigantic creature that's living and that's breathing.
Doctors Frank Göritz and Thomas Hildebrand from Germany were the first vets to succeed in artificial insemination of elephants. They're here to help In-sung find two females, one to provide the donor egg and one to act as surrogate mother to give birth to the mammoth, should he succeed in his quest.
For this assessment, to see which female is the best surrogate mother, we use a highly specialized ultrasound system, which is also used in human medicine, but our approach is different.
The favored surrogate is an experienced mother called Missy.
This female is a very nice candidate for a surrogate mother program. Her ovaries are nice active, and everything looks perfect in her.
Yeah, so this is Missy. She is our potential surrogate mother. Yeah, it's very exciting news.
Finding his surrogate mammoth mother seemed easy, but finding the right egg donor, a younger, fertile female, will be much more difficult.
It's very challenging, that's for sure, and we can fail. That's always in the nature, but we will try our best.
Out of 8 female elephants in the park, only 2 fit the bill as potential egg donors. In-sung's pinning his hopes on a 14-year-old called Girl.
He has ovulated about 3 weeks ago, so he might have a pregnant elephant. With this marks, there was an interaction with the bull, so there's a high chance that she is pregnant, and that means she is not suitable for us.
Okay. But it's good for the species and good for you.
The zoo.
The dream of resurrecting the mammoth hangs by a thread. If the last elephant is another no, it could shatter the dreams of In-sung and everyone involved in the cloning mission.
Our chances are getting smaller and smaller. Hopefully the next one will be able to give us something better.
No mucus.
Not pregnant.
Most likely not.
So that's good.
Ready?
The endometrium is highly activated, so we have a good chance to find the follicle on ovary.
Elephants produce just one ovarian follicle, the first step in developing an egg, every 4 months. Finding one could be harder than finding a mammoth cell in Siberia.
And there's our follicle.
A nice one.
I see. That's a follicle.
That's a follicle. You see the 2 white lines on top and on the bottom.
Okay. Takiri, she is definitely our potential candidate. You know, we found our potential surrogate mother, and we also found our potential oocyte donor.
It's a huge relief for In-sung, but some are doubtful about the ethics of cloning a mammoth.
We are quite cautious in this project. There are so many questions that are out there that needs to be answered. What would happen to this woolly mammoth once it's born? How is the resurrection of this mammoth going to assist in the conservation of endangered species in Sabah?
In-sung is convinced that the potential scientific benefits of the project far outweigh the negatives.
I think Cloning a mammoth is a crazy idea in a way that it's ridiculously ambitious. About 30 years ago, in vitro fertilization started to happen, and it caused a lot of criticism. But now it's being applied to help a lot of people and also to help a lot of animals too. So we believe in the future, cloning can really become an instrumental tool in saving endangered animals.
In-sung can also see that furthering our understanding of cellular structure could benefit humans.
Hopefully, along the process in cloning a mammoth, we can develop a technology where it can be applied in the future to treat diseases that are caused by aging, like Parkinson's, diabetes, and Alzheimer's.
The Mammoth project generates resources. The conservationists would never have access to it.
I have now less than 50 Sumatran rhinos in the wild, and cloning is something which we have talked about that might be able to assist this particular species. This is why we have agreed to this first step.
So, with an egg donor and surrogate on standby, the goal is now clear: to locate viable DNA, the building blocks of life, inside the nucleus of a mammoth cell, to take the next mighty step towards bringing this majestic creature back from the dead. The team uses an experimental cocktail of chemicals to isolate the nucleus from the surrounding cell.
We really have to be careful because, you do something wrong, you might damage them. Just every step of the process, you really have to be careful.
No one has ever successfully extracted an intact nucleus capable of cloning a mammoth. The chemicals turn the sample into cellular soup.
We see a lot of fragments right now, and I'm trying to figure out which one of them is most likely to be the nucleus.
In-sung must rely on his colleagues' expertise to hone in on his target, an intact nucleus.
It is just like looking for a mammoth remain out of nowhere in Siberia, but here it's pipettes and small things that we're working with. So, 말해도 될까요? Yeah. It looks like we found our first nuclear form. We don't know if it's an intact nucleus, but it has a circular shape to it. If you shine ultraviolet ray on it, it glows in blue. That means there's nuclear material inside this. It looks pretty clean from just the way we are looking at it right now. So I guess we kind of found our first nuclear form.
But amazingly, it is a bone marrow sample that pushes In-sung even closer to the reality of cloning a mammoth. Under a laser microscope, magnified 400 times, the sample reveals not one, but 4 potentially intact nuclei.
This one looks really good. It's very circular, and the shape of it is really good. Inside that nucleus, there's DNA, and that DNA can potentially give birth to life. Today, we've confirmed that there is DNA material, there is nucleus inside that cell, which is 30,000 years old. And it's a major breakthrough, just giving us so much potential to work with those samples and extract DNA and maybe start a life.
Next on National Geographic Channel, witness Japan's earthquake and tsunami as they happened through the eyewitness footage of those who were there.